Well, it's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you all for coming and joining us in the Case for Quality Forum. We have registered today 65 in person, plus another roughly 60 or so online, so an excellent attendance. Case for Quality continues to, as I was mentioning to Jeff Shuren yesterday, have consistent momentum, which says that it's important and continues to be high visibility and important program for us. And we're very pleased to have everybody's collaboration in this room today. Full agenda, as is typical for this meeting, and to this meeting we have a little different setup than we've had in the past. We've oftentimes had some guest speakers, and today on the agenda you'll notice that we have Rachel Florence, the Executive Director, recently hired Executive Director, 3 months roughly, Rachel. Rachel works for me as the Executive Director for NEST, the National Evaluation System for Health Technology Coordinating Center. And so she's going to provide a keynote overview. And this group is actually one of the early groups to get Rachel to present to, so you're getting, I think, an early peek in terms of what's happening with NEST. So that's going to be exciting. And as we were talking at the analytics meeting, working group meeting earlier this week, maybe it was last week now, there's an awful lot of consistency and alignment of objectives between what we're trying to do with analytics for quality and what is some of the mission and goals and objectives of NEST. So Rachel will be providing an overview there. And you'll see that we have an awful lot on the CDRH voluntary program proposal that Robin Newman will kick off. And then we've got some panel discussions on that as well. So that will round out the majority of the morning, and we have discussions on cultural engineering, which is also an interesting topic in terms of how do you change or evaluate cultures, and then following up at the end with a discussion on update on CFQ analytics. So again, I think a very full day, and I'd like to also recognize and acknowledge one of the MDIC board members who has been leading this project now for just about a year. Is that correct, Beth?
I think January.
Since January. Well, yeah, since January. But Beth Staub has been the board sponsor for the Case for Quality program since January, and has provided some real energy and some expertise at the senior level to the Case for Quality program. So I'm going to have Beth come up and say a few words before Rachel starts. Beth?
Thank you, Bill, and good morning, everybody, both with us live in the room today in D.C., as well as those of you joining by webinar. I'm Beth Staub. I'm the Group Compliance Officer for Global Quality and Operations for Stryker Corporation, and I am also, as you heard from Bill, lucky enough to be the lead for this year for the Case for Quality Steering Committee, and I'm delighted to welcome all of you to our second forum of 2017. When CDRH launched the idea of the Case for Quality in 2011, it was actually a really bold idea. Their goal, which is pretty ambitious, was to change the way medical device professionals, both in industry and at the FDA, thought about the quality system regulations and GMP compliance. To think about them not so much as an end in themselves, but rather part of a much larger framework that, when included along with tools, techniques, expertise, methodologies, metrics, could in fact be an important part of delivering better product quality. And it was that concept of thinking more broadly, of expanding the way that we use those tools, of expanding the conversation and who participated in how we set up that framework that led to the FDA's partnership with MDIC for the Case for Quality, and ultimately the creation of our vision and our goals. Okay. I'd like to start with the vision and the goals at these sessions, because I think they continue to be the guideposts that reflect what we're trying to accomplish, along with many other groups within the what I hear Bill talk about as the medical device ecosystem. Our vision is to elevate the focus on medical device, the focus for all medical device stakeholders, from baseline regulatory compliance to sustained predictive practices that advance quality and safety to achieve better patient outcomes. I don't know where any of you work here, right, whether you're in industry, whether you're a regulator, whatever segment of that ecosystem you're in, this is a vision I think that we can all say is an important one, is an exciting one to be part of moving forward. And how do we do it? Our goals speak to that. Delivering tools, methods, metrics for innovators, manufacturers, regulators, providers, again, all the different stakeholders in that ecosystem that improve product quality and ultimately the patient experience and outcome. That is why we all get out of bed in the morning, ultimately, regardless of what part of the business of that ecosystem that you're in. And so our agenda today is a great one, and it reflects all those aspects of both stakeholders and building out that framework. The centerpiece that we're going to really be thinking about today is the two flagship projects that we have running under Case for Quality this year. Analytics, the idea of developing a standard independent dashboard that could be used to assess product quality, and maturity models, a voluntary assessment program for industry to be able to determine where they are on their quality journey. That's a very different concept than an audit. We'll also hear about what's next, what the future is holding in this space, and some of the different initiatives that either MDIC or some of you may be participating in the future. From the FDA, from Robin, on their perspective on how voluntary programs like maturity models could play a role in their work plans. We'll hear about NEXT and real-world evidence, so the next big thing in the big data world and how that comes into play in medical device. We'll also hear from other industries and how they're talking with John Timmerman, how they're thinking about the idea of quality and customers and how some of those concepts would be potentially applied in the world of medical devices. So we've got a great agenda. I want to thank all of you for coming and being part of the Case for Quality community, for being part of the conversation, because it really is through your input, through your participation, as well as the dozens and dozens of people who participate in our working groups. This is an all-volunteer effort. I would ask you to keep that in mind because I think the level of work that's happening and the pace at which it's moving is incredibly impressive. In no small part thanks to our program manager, Stephanie Christopher, who is the professional cat wrangler for all of our volunteers, as well as she'll be co-hosting the meeting here with me today. But all of the people working on it, and ultimately all of you here today took the time to do this because you think it is an important mission. And because we all believe that it is an area where we can have an impact. I certainly think about that every day when I work on this stuff. It's an area where I think we can all make an impact on the future of the medical device space, which is pretty exciting work. So thank you again for making the time to listen and participate today. I'd like to bring up now our first speaker, Dr. Rachel Florence, who has recently taken the position as the director of NEST. She was a former MDIC member of the board of directors.